Welcome to Global Reports Hub. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates. Headlines blare, trade war escalates, alliances fray. The world watches as the familiar rules of engagement are rewritten in real time. Newsrooms buzz with speculation, and the public is left to wonder what tomorrow will bring. The sense of urgency is palpable, echoing through every headline and broadcast. The world's old order is unraveling before our eyes. Institutions that once seemed unshakable now appear fragile, their foundations eroded by shifting allegiances and rising tensions. The very map of global influence is being redrawn, as leaders struggle to adapt to a landscape that changes by the day. In Shanghai, cranes freeze mid-air, suspended in uncertainty, waiting to learn which goods will be hit by tariffs. The hum of commerce slows, and workers look on anxiously, aware that each new policy could alter their livelihoods. The city, once a symbol of unstoppable growth, now stands as a testament to the unpredictability of global trade. In Washington, diplomats scramble as a single tweet upends months of negotiation. The corridors of power are filled with tension as officials race to respond to rapidly shifting developments. Every message, every statement is scrutinized for its potential to spark new crises or offer a fleeting moment of stability. The certainties of the post-Cold War era have vanished, replaced by a fog of unpredictability. Where once there was clarity, now there is confusion. Leaders move through this haze, searching for new strategies, unsure of which alliances will endure and which will dissolve. While Western leaders feud, a quieter shift is underway, one that could reshape the global balance. As old alliances fracture, new partnerships are quietly being forged, often out of the spotlight. These subtle changes may prove more consequential than the loudest arguments on the world stage. Leaders representing nearly half of humanity gather, not in opposition to the West, but to chart their own course. Their meetings are marked by a sense of purpose and determination, as they seek to build a future that reflects their own interests and values. The world is witnessing the emergence of new voices demanding a seat at the table. The sense is clear. The narrative is no longer dictated by Washington or Brussels. Power is shifting, and with it, the ability to shape the global agenda. The world's story is being rewritten, with new authors and new perspectives. Global markets tremble, supply chains fray, and the interconnectedness once seen as strength now feels like a liability. Investors and workers alike feel the ripple effects, as uncertainty spreads from boardrooms to factory floors. The global economy, once tightly woven, now seems vulnerable to every shock and disruption. Amid this fragility, rising powers seek a new, more stable order. They are building alliances, forging agreements, and envisioning systems that might withstand the turbulence of the present. Their efforts signal a desire not just to survive but to thrive in a world where old certainties no longer apply. This is not just about presidents and prime ministers, it's about billions whose lives are shaped by these shifts. From bustling city streets to quiet living rooms, ordinary people feel the impact of decisions made in distant capitals. Their hopes, fears, and aspirations are woven into the fabric of this new era. The world is turning away from a unipolar era toward a future where power is more distributed, complex, and representative. As new centers of influence emerge, the global stage becomes richer and more diverse. The next chapter of history is being written now, shaped by the choices of nations and the dreams of billions. In the coastal city of Qingdao, China, leaders from across Eurasia gather for the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit, a meeting that may well mark the dawn of a new axis of influence on the world stage. The atmosphere is charged with anticipation, as the world watches to see what direction this powerful bloc will take. President Xi Jinping, as host, welcomes his counterparts with a vision of deeper cooperation. President Vladimir Putin, ever the strategist, seeks to strengthen Russia's hand in the region. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's prominent role signals a significant shift in India's foreign policy, as the country asserts its independence and seeks to balance its relationships with both East and West. With Iran and Turkey joining the discussions, the summit sends a powerful message. Major players from the East are coming together, forging new partnerships as the West faces internal divisions and uncertainty. This growing unity is not just symbolic, it's a statement of intent. The summit radiates an image of harmony, ambition, and shared purpose. This stands in stark contrast to the recent discord and fragmentation seen among Western alliances, highlighting a shifting global dynamic. India's active participation is more than diplomatic formality. It's a clear declaration that India intends to chart its own course, prioritizing its national interests and refusing to be relegated to a secondary role in any global strategy. The presence of Iran and Turkey further underscores the SCO's growing appeal, especially for nations seeking greater autonomy and freedom from Western economic and political pressures. Their engagement signals a desire for new alliances and opportunities. What truly unites these diverse nations? It's a shared vision for a world order where no single power dominates, a multipolar system where each country's voice matters and sovereignty is respected. Together, they seek not only economic security and regional stability, but also a new framework for global cooperation, one that reflects the realities of a rapidly changing world and the aspirations of emerging powers. The Qingdao Summit formalizes this emerging consensus. As the world's attention shifts eastward, it becomes clear. The global center of gravity is moving, and the future may well be shaped by the decisions made here. For centuries, Asia was the world's economic heart, China and India its powerhouses. The last 200 years of Western dominance are the exception, not the rule. Today's resurgence is about restoring historical balance, not creating something new. Leaders like Xi and Modi tap into deep wells of historical pride and ambition. The economic data is undeniable. Asia's rise is broad and accelerating. From Vietnam to Indonesia, nations are modernizing, innovating, and building global influence. Asia is now a source of capital, technology, and leadership. Economic power is translating into political and military clout. The West must adapt to a world where it is no longer the sole rule setter. The India-China-Russia summit signals these powers are ready to shape the rules themselves. India and China, long rivals, now meet with smiles, pragmatism overtaking old mistrust. Both recognize their futures are intertwined. Endless confrontation is a costly distraction. They compartmentalize disputes, focusing on trade, investment, and regional stability. Russia acts as a bridge, strengthening the non-Western bloc and counterbalancing U.S. influence. The RIC framework builds trust and manages tensions. Economic integration is the driving force. Ancient trade routes reborn as high-speed railways and digital networks. China's Belt and Road and India's own projects aim to create a deeply integrated Asian economy. This economic foundation is reshaping Asia's geopolitical order. Ironically, President Trump's America First policies unified other nations. Aggressive tariffs and unpredictable diplomacy pushed countries to seek new partners and build alternative networks. The so-called Trump effect accelerated the move toward a multipolar world. Trade wars and unilateralism made even U.S. allies question their reliance on America. Nations began trading in their own currencies and building financial systems insulated from U.S. pressure. The withdrawal from the Iran deal and criticism of NATO deepened mistrust. At Qingdao, India, China, and Russia sent a clear signal: the world won't wait for America to lead. Trump didn't cause the shift, but his policies sped it up dramatically. The global landscape is defined by two blocks: BRICS, SCO, and the Quad. BRICS and SCO are expanding, building real institutions like the New Development Bank and deepening cooperation. The SCO now covers much of Eurasia and nearly half the world's population. Their appeal lies in inclusivity and a focus on development, not ideology. The Quad, US, Japan, Australia, India, struggles to find purpose beyond countering China. India hesitates to turn the Quad into a military alliance, valuing its autonomy. The Quad's progress is slow, lacking a clear agenda. BRICS and SCO are proactive, building a multipolar order. The Quad is reactive, defined by opposition. China frames the Quad as an exclusionary bloc, a narrative that resonates in the region. Most Asian nations prefer not to choose sides in a new Cold War. India's diplomatic balancing act, what experts call strategic autonomy, is a masterclass in modern statecraft. In a world increasingly divided by rival power blocs, India has chosen a path that is uniquely its own, refusing to be boxed in by alliances or pressured into taking sides. This approach is not just about hedging bets, it's about maximizing national interests while maintaining flexibility on the global stage. India is a rare nation that participates in both the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which includes China and Russia, and the Quad, which brings together the US, Japan, and Australia. By engaging with all sides, India keeps its options open and ensures it has a seat at every important table, amplifying its voice in global affairs. Prime Minister Modi's diplomacy is deliberate, not indecisive. India recognizes the value of US technology and investment for its economic growth, while also relying on Russian arms for its defense needs. This careful calibration allows India to benefit from both relationships without becoming overly dependent on either. At the same time, India seeks stable ties with China, understanding that peace on its borders is essential for its development and security. Even amid tensions, dialogue continues, reflecting India's commitment to pragmatic engagement. By refusing to commit fully to any single camp, India preserves its independence and avoids being drawn into conflicts that do not serve its interests. Abstaining from contentious votes at the United Nations is just one example of this nuanced approach. This strategy demands constant recalibration. Each major power wants India closer, but India skillfully resists being pulled too far in any direction, always keeping its own priorities at the forefront. Flexibility is India's greatest strength. By playing the long game, India positions itself to become a leading power, shaping the rules rather than simply following them. Defying US pressure to buy Russian S-400 missiles was a bold demonstration of real autonomy. India made it clear that its defense decisions are guided by national interest, not external demands. Modi's active participation in the SCO and ongoing efforts to stabilize ties with China further reinforce this independent stance, showing that India will engage with all, but on its own terms. India signals to the world that it will manage its own neighborhood and foreign policy, asserting leadership in South Asia and the Indian Ocean region. As a true swing state, India is not just reacting to global shifts, it is actively shaping the balance of power, emerging as a pivotal force in the international order. The language of power is changing, from military alliances to economic tools and symbolic gestures. Tariffs, sanctions, and control over resources are now the weapons of choice. Summit attendance is strategic signaling, every move is scrutinized. US tariffs on China were geopolitical acts, not just economic policy. China's retaliation, including rare earth threats, showed its own leverage. Summits like Qingdao are political theater, sending messages to multiple audiences. Modi's presence signaled India's independence and priorities to all sides. Power is now diffuse. Nations use every tool, economic, diplomatic, symbolic, to advance interests. Convening successful summits and withstanding pressure are new measures of influence. Those who master this new language will shape the 21st century. We are witnessing the dawn of a multipolar century, Asia's declaration of independence. The unipolar moment is over. The future will have several centers of power. The US remains influential, but now shares the stage with China, India, and Russia. The Qingdao summit was Asia's statement of autonomy from the old order. Emerging economies want to be rule makers, not just rule takers. They're building their own institutions and reforming the global system to reflect their priorities. This is not anti-Western, but it is non-Western, demanding equality, not subordination. The West must adapt, learning to listen and treat rising powers as partners. The message from the East is confidence and self-reliance. Leaders are forging new partnerships and charting independent courses. The 21st century will be defined by many voices, a more balanced, truly global order.